Yo, what's up, guys? Let's go through some plays for tomorrow. We gave out this on the live stream earlier. We're looking good. 4 for 5. But unfortunately, Dustin Crum couldn't come through. These ones, I mean, we came close, but Dustin Crum, 172 yards. We still make profit. We still get a 2x payout, but obviously, you know, I wanted the 10x payout. But without further ado, we can just start to look for some picks for tomorrow. So I've explained this before, but, you know, I'm going to be focusing on the sportsbooks I use. And depending on where you're located, you know, you'll have different sportsbooks available. There's hundreds of sportsbooks out there, but all of them are, you know, legal in different places. So you can see this is a really good bet on Bovada, Jacob Young, under half of a base. If you use that, there's some good plays on Fliff. Resorts World is a sportsbook in New York. So, you know, kind of the key to sports betting is you want to have as many bucks as possible. All of these bets were only available on PrizePicks. So depending on the books you use, you know, you're going to have access to different betting opportunities. But we can start out on Underdog Fantasy. Why not? And we can start to look for some picks. So some WNBA plays are already popping up as well. There's a lot of bets popping up. So we'll start on Underdog Fantasy. I've explained, you know, in other videos, but I try to keep these videos educational. On Underdog Fantasy, you want to go with 3-pick entries. In general, you're going to, you know, notice that play lost. Brittany Griner gets 19. I'm generally going with 3-pick entries on Underdog. They give you a 6x payout. Whereas on PrizePicks, any 3-pick entry, so if you just make a little 3-pick entry, you'll notice they only give you a 5x payout. So long story short, the number of picks you go with really matters from platform to platform. Underdog Fantasy, mainly 3-pick. PrizePicks, mainly I'm going with 5-pick flex plays. But without further ado, we can kind of like reload, hopefully find some early value for tomorrow. So you can see this first play that OddsJam is recommending is Yuma over 15 on Underdog Fantasy. Some of these plays I don't love as much. I mean, there's a huge discrepancy, right? You will never see this in the NBA. Really, you only find like these crazy discrepancies. The reason esports is a great sport to bet on isn't because I like esports and I know the coaches or I have some inside information. It's because there's so many damn games, right? There's like 50 games a day. So books are posting tons of lines, and all these books post lines independently, and sometimes they get out of sync with one another, right? So there's these big discrepancies in the market. So you can see here, Yuma's line is 15 on Underdog, 17 on PrizePicks. So that's a big discrepancy, right? So what you could do is you could take the over on Underdog. This is called a middle bet. Take the over on Underdog, the under on PrizePicks, and you have a middle, right? If this guy has 16 kills, then you're going to win both bets. You're going to win your under 17. You're finding inefficiencies in the market, and you're exploiting them. So let me make sure my screen is showing up properly on the screen. What's up, guys? I hate Cooper. Yeah, that's so beat. Cooper did sell. But anyways, we had some good plays today. So let's look for Underdog Fantasy. We also hit a parlay play today, 6 of 6. So we'll kind of look through all the sports books. So here's another one, right? Like, if you want to bet this, I'd recommend middling it. And the reason I'd recommend middling it is it's not really clear, like, who's wrong. So if you go to CSGO, you can see Suplex's line is 12. Underdog Fantasy has it at 14. So it may seem confusing. Why would I take the over and the under? But it's kind of like buying a stock for $12 and selling it for 14, right? The price is different. The line is different. So that would be another good opportunity that you could go with. But again, the reason you don't really want to straight bet it is there's not as many sportsbooks posting lines. Whereas like here, if you have Resorts World, which again is a sportsbook in New York, they have Utah minus 4.5 at minus 110. Every other sportsbook has this around like minus 155. And you have numerous other data points, and they're all telling you the same thing. Yo, Resorts World is wrong. You know, it's kind of like if, you know, so apparently there was a tornado in Louisiana, but that's beside the point. So like in the stock market, right, you don't get these inefficiencies. You look on Fidelity, E-Trade, whatever. This is the price of Facebook, $285.50, right? The reason sports betting is really profitable is it recently legalized in the United States. There's tons of platforms like PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy, but they all have to be unique. So they all set lines independently, right? PrizePicks has different lines from Underdog Fantasy. So all these books have different odds lines from one another, which is why there's so many inefficiencies that we can capitalize on. So what we can do is we can continue going through. There's some WNBA plays, but this play I like more, right? So this is a CSGO play, and we can just pull up CSGO and we can kind of take a look at the data and see what we think about it. So what's going on here? So let's go to CSGO kills. CSGO, what do I want? Anyways, why can't I search this? Here we go. First 2 player map kills. If you look at this player, like, it's pretty clear Underdog Fantasy is kind of screwing up. They have the line at 37, ParlayPlay 39.5, PrizePicks 39. All the other books have this line higher, so we want to take the over. Seems like a pretty clear-cut, good play to go with, right? So let's go back here to Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has the line at 37. We found an inefficiency. All the other books have his line at, 39, 39.5, 38.5. So again, you kind of have an option. What you could do is you can middle bet this. So let me just load up ParlayPlay. So if we go to ParlayPlay, you can see they have his line at 39.5. So what you could do is you can middle bet this. Over 37, under 39.5. If he has 38, 39 kills, you win both bets. If he has 37, you'll push on Underdog Fantasy. You'll tie on Underdog Fantasy, and you'll win on ParlayPlay if he has 37. But we can continue going through. So looks like there's a lot of plays available. So here, 1962, under 34. So this is another play. Another play that looks good. So we can pull up the data, kind of look at the market data. And again, like, so many people are like, oh, I want to create my own model to beat the sportsbooks. And it's a great idea in theory. But you got to remember, like, these books are billion-dollar companies, PrizePicks, FanDuel. They've invested a ton of money in their ability to set lines. You're not just going to spin up a better model than PrizePicks. Better data feeds, tons of engineers. They have, full-time traders. Like, that's literally a job. If you look up sportsbook trader, every single sportsbook, right? They have traders managing their lines. So, like, it's really hard to just spin up your own model. But anyways, we can see there's a bunch of different plays. So a lot of CSGO today. So we'll go with this play, Kurt's Menace, under 37.5. You can go with either. I like unders. So we can roll with unders. All these plays are pretty big discrepancies. And then we can go with Remix, over 34.5. The market is aligned. Every other book has his line at 36.5. And we gotta, we're not going to be able to play that because those players are in the same game. But this play seems solid. Bow under 18, right? So you take a look at this. Every other sportsbook, this is a Legal Legends play. Every other book has his line at 17, right? So it's pretty clear. So you're using market information to your advantage, and there's nothing super complicated going on. It's just like when you start betting on these platforms, it's important you know how many picks to go with, right? Like on PrizePicks, you don't want to go with 3 picks. On Underdog Fantasy, 3 picks are great. 6x payout versus 5x payout makes a really big difference, long term in terms of your profitability. And then you just want to use data to your advantage, find these inefficiencies in the market. Again, I say this all the time, but you're literally treating your sports betting like a hedge fund, right? And what I mean by that is, what does a hedge fund do? They look for value in the market. What are you doing? You're looking for value in the market, using data, right? And there's thousands of possible investments. Hedge funds, trading firms, they zone in on the few where they actually have an edge. It's no different here. There's tens of thousands of lines on Underdog Fantasy. Most of those bets aren't profitable. There's only 10 good bets on Underdog Fantasy right now. So it's a very small percentage. We're zoning in on those few spots where they're screwing up a line relative to every other book. So this will be the first pick we go with, and we'll hit it for $100. Again, you don't want to use insurance on Underdog Fantasy for a 3-pick entry. What up, guys? Nah, I don't get tired of the chit-chat. What should we do with tomorrow, or should we let her ride? Bro, I'm letting her ride. you know I'm letting her ride. And also, here's a play I hit on PrizePicks earlier. I gave this out on Twitter, but if you want to play to tail, I mean, you can hedge on another sportsbook. So anyone who tailed this from the previous live stream, you know, and you could have done it on Dustin Crum. I explained this on the previous live stream. You could have hedged him on another sportsbook, locked in a really big profit if you wanted to. But let's say you had the exact same slip as me. What you could do is we can go to, like, you know, if we go over to tennis and then we look at total games, you know, again, it's going to depend what sportsbooks are legal in your location. But you can see, you know, like all these other books, PrizePicks ended up, they pulled the line lower in our favor, right? They moved the line to 21.5. So what you could do is you could try to take the over on the sportsbook, giving you the best odds on the over 21.5, which it looks like is Caesars, right? So you could go to Caesars, you could take the over 21.5 at minus 105 odds. You have the under 22.5, and ideally, you know, you have on a middle bet now. You already hedged. If there's exactly 22 games, you're going to win both bets. Pretty clear cut. So I like to focus, you know, kind of on all the sports books. Again, depending on where you're located, you're going to have different books available. There's some really good tennis bets out there. FanDuel, tennis is actually one of my most profitable sports. So you can see, you know, there's college football bets starting to show up. WinBet has a lot of good bets. This was actually, if you look on my Pickett account, which is a bet tracker, this is my most profitable sports book, but I don't currently have access to WinBet right now. But they have a ton of college football bets, and they have pretty high betting limits, which is a great thing about Fliff. But you can see if you just look across the market, there's, you know, bets on all different sorts of sports books. And again, the difference between this fantasy optimizer is what the fantasy optimizer is doing mainly is pointing out discrepancies in where books have their line set, right? So Bao, his line is 18 on Underdog. Every other sports book has his line at 17, right? So we're just, you know, rational, data-driven sports betting. Take the under. That is the play with an edge. Whereas the positive EV tool, like most sports books, not PrizePicks, but most books have like odds, right? Like minus 108, all this different crap. So the positive EV tool, on the other hand, is, again, it's pointing out massive discrepancies in odds. And it's very simple, right? It's like if you were a day trader and you went to Fidelity and the price of Facebook was $110. Then you go to Robinhood and Charles Schwab, it's 147. Right? And then two other, you know, platforms you can trade stocks, Morgan Stanley, whatever, and it's 146 and 175. It's pretty clear 110 is a good buy, right? And you're just following the data, right? And again, these books are constantly moving around lines. Like, a lot of people think the market's static. It's not, right? Like, injuries, books update odds, right? Weather changes, books update odds. Everything's priced into the market. Sharp action starts coming in on one side. If everyone starts hammering, you know, Utah minus 4.5, the sports books are going to move odds in favor of Utah. Just like if everyone buys a stock, the price goes up. It's based on supply and demand. And no different here. But anyways, here was my first play on Underdog Fantasy. And then here's the one we have earlier on PrizePicks, if you're just tuning in. So what we can do is we can go to ParlayPlay. ParlayPlay, we hit a 6-pick parlay today, and we can see if there's any value. And it looks like there's some early WNBA value, so never will shy away from the WNBA. So we can go here and we can go to player points. And again, some of the best betting opportunities are early in the day. That's when books mess up their lines, right? I can almost guarantee you by tomorrow morning, ParlayPlay will have adjusted their line, and it'll be at 16.5. So if you want to get in on this, you know, opportunity, now's the time. So no, let's refresh this. We want Jackie Young under 17.5 points. Hopefully they didn't pull it. Oh, come on. Where is she? Man, it looks like they just pulled some WNBA lines. So they put them up and then they pulled them. Okay. So we'll refresh this, and we can take a look, and we can see what else is out there. So it looks like that play on Jackie Young we're not going to be able to bet. What else do we like, though? How about Howling over 9? You can see SportsBattle has the line at 9.5. PrizePicks has Howling's line at 10, right? So pretty clear there's value on the over 9. So nope. Let's go back here, and we want to go to over 9. And this will be the first pick we go with. Okay, cool. So we have our first pick locked in. What else is available? So Sabrina over 16.5. How do we feel about this play? So PrizePicks also has the line at 16.5. You can see the market's a little fragmented. It's like half the books have the line at 17.5, half at 16.5. So maybe we skip over that play, but I'm sure we'll find some other picks we can go with. Maybe not though, but we'll see. John Qual Jones under. How do we feel about this play? So it looks like there's some WNBA plays. So Underdog has her line, or sorry, ParlayPlay has her line at 11. All the sports books do. And maybe we skip that over. Anyways, what should we go with? We'll go back to Underdog for now. Again, what kind of sucks about ParlayPlay is, you know, ParlayPlay similar to Underdog, or sorry, PrizePicks, where they only give you 5x payouts. So on PrizePicks and ParlayPlay, you need to find more good picks to make a profitable slip, whereas on Underdog Fantasy, all you need is 3, right? And that's why betting on straight bets, right, sportsbooks like, you know, Bovada, Resorts World, is, in my opinion, it's easier, right? Because you only need one bet. On Underdog Fantasy, on PrizePicks, on ParlayPlay, you can't just place one bet. You know, it tells you right here. You got to have at least 2 picks. So if we go back here, we can start to build a slip. And maybe we'll find some good correlation, whatever. Like, for example, well, are any of these plays positively correlated? So this is, so you can see here, well, we have Alliance, OG Ocean tag. So if we take a look at some of these Dota plays, maybe we can find some positive correlation. So we can go to a specific league if we want to, and we can start to take a look at some of these Dota plays. Any plays from the same game. So these plays are from the same game. Alliance over. So this play seems decent. This play actually seems solid. So again, this play I'm going to middle bet. So I've gone through this before, but what's very interesting about Underdog Fantasy, man, they have some weird names in esports. So what's kind of interesting, so let's go here and we want to take Yuma. And then this is correct. Okay, so we want to take Yuma's over on Underdog, and then on PrizePicks, again, we found this massive inefficiency in the market. I'm just trying to determine how to play this optimally. So you can see PrizePicks has his line at 17, so you obviously want to take the under. And again, what's pretty interesting about PrizePicks, you know, and Underdog Fantasy is, again, these are fixed payout platforms. So what I mean by that is, like, they're not changing your payout based on, you know, the picks you select. So I'm not sure why this is taking so long to load, but let's go to NFL season. Come on, baby. So if we want to take, like, Patrick Mahomes over in passing yards, just as a simple example, and I've given this example before, but it's very relevant, and especially for anyone new, this is a huge benefit of these fixed payout websites like PrizePicks. Is like, right on PrizePicks, they don't change your payout based on you selecting over versus under. So obviously, if you want to take Mahomes over, probably makes sense to take Travis Kelce's over, his main target, right? So that's called positive correlation, right? You're taking plays that are correlated to go the same direction. So in Dota, if you go through the data, you'll see that, man, these players got some interesting names. So in Dota, you'll see that players on opposing teams, right? So this is what I want to take here. So players on opposing teams, right? And I want to take the over and the under, are positively correlated to go the same direction. So these guys are playing each other. And this is the same thing for League of Legends, right? So if Yuma goes over or goes under, then Chayanne is more likely to go over. And you can look through all the historical data. I have a chart about it. If you actually want to email me, you know, you can email me. FIBA basketball, we'll take a look at that. And what we can do is we can go here, right? So these two plays are positively correlated. These two plays are positively correlated, right? If Chayanne goes under, then Yuma's more likely to go over. And on the other hand, if Yuma goes under, Chayanne's more likely to go over. So these two plays are positively correlated, and they're discrepancies. So we can middle bet these, right? We can take the over on Underdog. It's like buying a stock at 15, selling it at 17. Take the under on PrizePicks. And let me make sure this is in my screen. So it's in my screen. So if you have any questions or if you want, the data, you can email me. But what we can do now is we need one more pick on Underdog Fantasy. So are any of these other plays from the same game? And it doesn't appear like they are. So what we can do is let's now put back in all sports. So we now have 2 picks in our PrizePick slip, and we're going to hedge 2 of them on Underdog Fantasy. And then what we can do is we can go back here, and we can try to find one more good play that we want to go with, right, on Underdog Fantasy that we haven't already locked in. So what did we already lock in? So let's go here. So here's what we currently have. Okay. So maybe the next play we go with is Denko over 37, right? The other sports books have his line at 39.5. Again, no magic going on. Well, I keep forgetting. So we have Kurt Meta's 1962 and Bow. Okay, so good to remember. So this play we already locked in. We're not going to be able to relock it in. And we could also take Remix over 34.5. So maybe we take this play. So here, we now have a 3 pick on Underdog. So this play's good to go. And then I'm just going to want to hedge 2 of these on PrizePicks. Again, when you can get correlation in the same game, that is a huge benefit. That is a huge benefit of Underdog Fantasy. It's very exploitable currently. So this will be the first play we lock in on Underdog Fantasy, and then we'll head over to PrizePicks, and we need to find 3 more picks on PrizePicks. Again, I'm not going to play a 3-pick entry on PrizePicks because they're shitty payouts. So I need to find something with a better payout. So we can look through, again, all these plays. I mean, a lot of them are middle possibilities. Take the over 11 on PrizePicks, the under 12.5 on Underdog. That's great to go with. Again, a benefit of having more sports books as well is all these books have promos. If you haven't used the Dak Prescott promo, you could use Dak Prescott over half of a passing yard. I'm curious. I think my slip lost on it, but it's not going to let me rebet it. That sucks. But what we can do is we can look for 3 more picks on PrizePicks. So where should we start? So we could start on, some of these plays we've already hit. So Blitz, we already hit him over 19.5, but I do like this play. So if we go back here, you can see I already have him over 19.5. A lot of people ask me like, oh, how many players should I include a slip in? And it's like, it's kind of up to you. It's really hard to figure out the optimal bet size on all these platforms, especially PrizePicks, because again, the flex plays have like variable payouts depending on how many picks you win. So in general, I recommend for these 5 flex plays, just place 1 unit. So if you look at ISMA, all the other sportsbooks have his line at 8.5. So that play seems good. So we can go back here to League of Legends, and then we can take ISMA over 8. Nothing super complicated going on here. I'm just, looking through the market for those few spots where a sportsbook is fucking up their lines, and then we want to pounce, right? We want to take advantage of that. So then you can see I have Blinkova over 21, right? The other sports books have her line at 21.5, or even FanDuel has her line all the way up at 22.5. So that play seems good. Anything else we may possibly want to include? Again, Howling under 10. There's some other good plays. So it kind of depends. You could place a 6-pick flex. Are any of these plays correlated? So actually, I'm going to skip this play on Blitz again. Fuck that. And I'm going to take these 2 plays. So you can see here, same thing again I said in League of Legends is ISMA, right? This play is Howling under 10 is positively correlated with ISMA over 8 because these players are on opposing teams, right? It's kind of like taking Mahomes over and Kelsey over, right? In the same game. That's all positive correlation means. So that seems solid. Also, there's a play on Markey over 7. We can take a look at this. Maybe we do make a 6-pick flex. So this play seems great, right? So again, there's 2 benefits to this. The first benefit is there's value, right? Value is what every investor looks for, hedge fund, whatever, right? Like every other sportsbook has this guy's line at 7.5. And granted, this isn't like the NFL or something like that where there's hundreds of sports books posting lines. You know, if you look at the NFL, every sports book posts lines. So you have a lot more confidence in your bets. But still, you can find huge edges in esports. So the first benefit is every other sportsbook, we have 3 other data points. They're all telling us Marky's line should be at 7.5. PrizePicks is at 7. We have this discrepancy in the market. Most lines aren't discrepancies. We found one. We found, a discrepancy, a play with value on PrizePicks. So that's the first benefit. And then the second benefit is, again, players on the same team are positively correlated to go the same direction. So Marky and Isma, if Isma goes over, Marky's more likely to go over. At the same time, players on opposing teams are positively correlated to go opposite directions. If Marky goes over, Howling's more likely to go under. So this seems like a pretty good slip. It's a 5-pick. It's a 6-pick flex play. So there we go. Now we have a nice 6-pick flex play with beautiful correlation. I should mention, we have positive correlation on our 2 Dota plays, and then we also have positive correlation on our 3 League of Legends bets, and then we just have some random tennis bet. But whatever, good enough for me. So that seems pretty good. And then we can go back here, and I'll leave this up for a sec if anyone wants to see the full slip. So there's the first slip we'll go with on PrizePicks. Again, we're getting the added benefit of correlation here, right? For both the League of Legends plays and the Dota plays. And then again, we're also finding plays with value, right? And like value. If you follow the data, 99% of bettors, they trust their gut. They think that's how they're going to win. That's why PrizePicks is in business and is a billion-dollar company, right? You got to do something different. So we can go back here to the positive EV tool quickly. Again, like, there's some good bets across the market. If you use Circa, Taro Daniel, plus 220. All the other books around plus 200-ish. And you can see Pinnacle, which is known to be one of the sharper, smarter, more sophisticated sports books. They're pricing this at plus 199, and they have been ripping odds in favor of her, right? And the way that books make money, again, is they charge a spread called the VIG. It's the same way a stockbroker makes money. They say, hey, I'll buy a stock for $199. I'll sell it to you for $223, right? So what they think the fair value is the midpoint. So roughly, whatever, plus 210. And you're getting plus 220, so you're getting above the fair price with the spread removed. That's how every sportsbook works, right? They have some model that spits out, hey, we think the odds should be plus 210 on the underdog, minus 210 on the over. That's a market with no VIG. And then they bake in their juice. So then they say, well, we think this guy should fairly be priced at minus 210, so we're going to let you bet it at minus 223. It's the same way a stockbroker works. They say, hey, we think a stock is worth $10, so we'll buy it for 9, we'll sell it for 11. We'll be 9 bid, 11 offer. So we'll go back here. Let's refresh. Let's see what other Hawaii plus 225 looks insane on Resorts World bet. So this is a sportsbook in New York. I've heard people absolutely demolish it. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the market. You could also arbitrage bet this with WinBet, which is another sportsbook in New York. So we'll go back to PrizePicks here in a second. There were some other bets on PrizePicks that were positively correlated. So we can do that. But let me share the sheet that kind of breaks down how many picks are optimal to go with. So I'll leave this up for one more second just so people can tail it if they haven't already. If you want to tail it, completely up to you. Don't put your life savings on it. This is a 6-pick parlay. But still, every single play has an edge and it has great correlation. So this will be, what up guys? So here's the article that kind of breaks down, depending on the platform you're using, Underdog, ParlayPlay, whatever, how many picks is optimal, to go with. So we can go here, and there's different strategies, that you can implement, especially if you use sportsbooks. Again, sportsbooks are a lot easier because you only have to place one bet, whereas on Underdog Fantasy, again, you got to make at least 2 picks. They're parlay-only sportsbooks. So like one of the strategies we've explained in other videos is arbitrage betting, which is how to make risk-free money sports betting, right? How to capitalize on these inefficiencies in the market to lock in a risk-free profit. You know, this only happens when books, when their models get super out of sync with one another. So you can see here, like Hawaii, plus 225. WinBet has Stanford, minus 175. You could be like, okay, I'm not going to take an opinion on the game. I have $500 in my WinBet account. So then you just follow the arbitrage calculator, right? You put $500 on Stanford at minus 175. You put 241.76 on Hawaii at plus 225, right? And you make a risk-free profit of 43.96, right? And it should make sense, right? On Hawaii, you only have to bet $100 to win 225. Their opponent, Stanford, you only have to bet $175 to win back your 100. So you can imagine if you put $175 on Stanford and $100 on Hawaii, you kind of have a free lottery ticket, right? If you put $175 on Hawaii, or sorry, $175 on Stanford, right? If they win the game, so if you put $175 here, right, and anyways, you can go through the math. We have some other videos breaking down arbitrage betting, but this is the sports betting strategy I started out with. To make risk-free money sports betting. Canadian Football League, he did sell today. So what do we have? We have PrizePicks, we got a 6-pick, and then let's go to Underdog Fantasy. We have a couple 3 picks we locked in if you're just tuning in. A lot of CS:GO value right now, as well as some positively correlated Dota plays. So that's pretty cool. And we can go back here and we can, again, arbitrage betting. How I started out sports betting, it'll definitely give you confidence that you can beat the sports books. Here's another one between Fliff and FanDuel. I'll do more arbitrage betting when I'm back in a state with more sports books available. Currently, I only have access to Fliff. Here's another arbitrage bet. Let's say you hit this on FanDuel for $250. You hedge on Fliff, $216.94. You make a risk-free profit of $10.33. Just due to this major discrepancy in sportsbook odds. FanDuel has this at minus 110. All the other books have this around, minus 145-ish. This is a DFS app, so ignore it, right? And Fliff has the under at plus 120. So due to this massive discrepancy in where books are pricing it, you can buy low, sell high, essentially. It's like buying a stock for 10, flipping it for 12, which is, a pretty good strategy if you can do it. So we can go back here, we can refresh. Maybe we'll find some more PrizePicks plays. And we can take a look, see if there's anything new that's coming up. So here you can see, again, a discrepancy between PrizePicks and SportsBattle. You could middle bet it, but there's only 2 data points, right? So it's not really clear which book is screwing up here. Damn. So a lot of good plays out there, but maybe we go to Underdog Fantasy. And again, the more books you have, the better. I've explained, Sleeper, I almost never find value. Like I almost never find good bets on Sleeper, but they run some good promos, so I still have Sleeper. Jock Market, not really much right now. In general, on Jock Market, you want to go with 5-pick entries. On SportsBattle, is there anything? There's 4 plays, but you want to go with 5-pick entries. There's just not a ton out there right now. ParlayPlay, there was some stuff, and then they ripped down their tennis lines. Although it looks like some esports plays are coming up. But again, on this platform, we want to go with 5 or 6-pick entries. It looks like I see 5 plays right now. So, kind of lame. But we can go back to Underdog Fantasy, and maybe we take a look here. So again, all these discrepancies now are just between PrizePicks and Underdog. So if you're going to do something, I'd probably just middle bet it. I wouldn't just bet it outright. So what team are they playing? So we can go back here to low skill. INTZ versus KZ. So not a ton out there right now. So honestly, the board's getting a little dry. Looks like we pounded away a shit ton of that value on Underdog Fantasy. There's still some decent stuff on PrizePicks, but most of it we've already included in this slip. So again, definitely recommend we could go through some examples. I mean, why don't we go through an example? So let's just open up this slip. I mean, we'll look for more PrizePicks plays in a second, but why don't we go through, we've went through examples of middles. Why don't we go through an example of arbitrage? So let's say you have FanDuel and Fliff. You're able to navigate the sportsbooks quickly, right? What you could do is pretty simple, right? Bobby Miller, we'll go through the math very briefly, and I promise you, this strategy, if you do it on sportsbooks, you're going to make some good money, so pay attention. His over 5.5 Ks is minus 110 on FanDuel. His under 5.5 Ks is plus 120 on Fliff. So these are equal and opposite outcomes, and you have this massive discrepancy in where books are setting lines. So it seems like FanDuel's the one screwing up their line. So I'd probably just take the over on FanDuel because it seems like a good bet at minus 110. But maybe if you're, if you don't like risk or something like that, you could arbitrage bet this. So what we can do is we can go here. And again, the power of sports betting is regardless of the strategy you use, if you actually learn to get an edge, right? Like let's say your ROI in sports betting is 1%. All these games we're betting on, well, I guess not this tennis bet, it's Tuesday. But in general, most of the games you're betting on are that day. They're within the next 24 hours, right? So your returns are daily. So compounding works very quickly if you have an edge. If you have a 1% profit margin over the course of a month, that's 30%. So it's the same thing with arbitrage betting. This arbitrage bet, I'm going to show you how we make 2.16% risk-free. And it may not seem glamorous, but the power in it, right, is again, like this game is going to be over in 24 hours. So you're earning a 2% risk-free return in 24 hours. It's absolutely insane. So Fliff, as you may know, has a max bet size of 250. So let's just say we bet this on Fliff for 250 bucks. And then on FanDuel, we'll round our numbers. I always recommend rounding your numbers. It's a little, betting 288.10, it just looks a little weird. So I'd put in this, right? And then there's two outcomes, right? He's either going to have 0 to 5 strikeouts, and the under's going to win on Fliff. Like, always one bet is going to win, one is going to lose. That's how arbitrage betting works. Or he's going to have 6+ strikeouts, right? And then we can just go through your profit in both cases, right? And we can put in net profit. And this is a strategy I started with, and it really is a grind-based game. So the reason it's possible is, again, the market's very fragmented, very inefficient. All books set lines independently. That's why it's possible. So many sports books, they're all trying to manage their own lines. Sometimes their models get really out of sync with one another. So you can bet on equal and opposite outcomes and lock in a risk-free profit. So it's like, okay, how does this work? Well, if he goes under on Fliff, we're going to be up 250 times 1.2, right? We bet 250 bucks at plus 120 odds. So if he goes under, this is a strategy I started with, made my first $40,000 sports betting with this strategy. So if he goes under, you're up 250 times 1.2, you're up 300 bucks on Fliff, and you're down, 290 on FanDuel, right? You make $10, and you can go through these numbers yourself. What's hard about arbitrage betting is you have to move really fast. As you see already with Underdog Fantasy, you got to navigate the books quickly. You got to have multiple sports books. And again, like most of these sports books have max betting limits that are not $1 million, right? A lot of people are like, how can you make risk-free money sports betting? I just bet $1 million on it. It's like, no, you won't, because Fliff has a max bet size of 250 bucks. So we're making $11.90. So then on FanDuel, right, if he goes over, so let's go to the other case. If he goes over, if he has 6 or more strikeouts, we're down 250 on Fliff. And on FanDuel, we're up 290 times 100 over minus 110. So minus 110 means, our profit's going to be 263.64. So again, if you follow the calculator exactly, then you're going to make $11.90 regardless of what happens. But because I rounded the numbers a bit, you can see our profit and loss kind of varies a bit. So you have to move quick. You need multiple sports books. You can't be lazy. This really is making, I used to get home from work, I'd hit 10 of these, then I'd go to bed. So I'd be up like $100 in profit by the end of the night, right? And some people will say, oh, you'll get limited if you do that. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I mean, you should definitely round your numbers. Definitely makes sense to do that. Don't slam things for like $1 million. Obviously makes sense. Don't try to put a bet in for $20,000 on some weird market. I'm limited on Underdog Fantasy just betting, right? If you make money, some sportsbooks are going to limit you. That's just part of the game. But the great thing about sports betting is there's 400 sportsbooks out there and 207 of them, and there's probably 20, 25 that are legal available in your location. If you're the only way to not get limited is to lose money, right? If you want to have $100,000 bet sizes, the way that FanDuel works, and I know this for a fact, is they start everyone out at the same betting limit. If you lose money, they increase your betting limit. If they determine you're dumb, if they determine you're smart, they'll gradually reduce it. And it's not the end of the world, though. Like you can see on FanDuel, typically my betting limits are pretty good. They're around like, not for player props, but main lines I can usually get down like $1,000. And then some of these like player props, usually I get down like, let's see. I mean, in general, it's like $400, $500. Underdog Fantasy, I've been limited recently. I can bet $100. So it's not the end of the world. Long story short. But anyways, let's go back to PrizePicks. Let's go back to Underdog Fantasy. Let's look for some plays. PrizePicks just uploaded hella sportsbooks. So let's go through that. Bro, I don't see any new... Oh, wow. I do see a lot of esports plays popping up. Damn. Well, do I? I feel like a lot of these plays are the same. We're already on this play. We're already on ISMA over 8. Headshots play Blitz. We're already on. These plays, I mean, it's kind of boring to middle. We could sit here all day and middle bet some of these. What did PrizePicks add? I don't see they added much of anything. So Marquee, we're already on. These plays, there's only one sportsbook posting lines. So again, you can middle bet it. It's just like if you only have 2 data points, I'd rather middle it, at least personally. So Suplex 14 versus 11, I mean, it's a lot of the same shit. Bow under 17, we're already on. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the same plays available. But anyways, we can go back here and let's go to the positive EV tool. Let's see what's out there. Jacob Young, plus 120 on Fliff. Nebraska, plus 6. Again, the more sportsbooks you have, the better. I mean, I try to show everything just depending on what you use. Bovada, FanDuel. There can be good bets on any sportsbook. Out of the, tens of thousands of lines on Underdog, they mess up a very small fraction, and that's when we pounce, right? We just wait for them to fuck up a line. If you think about it, a bet is either profitable or it's not, right? So if every sportsbook has the same line, probably not a good bet, right? If Underdog, PrizePicks, everyone has the same line. And for a bet to be profitable, the sportsbook has to be messing up, right? Books have the benefit of they add in juice to their markets, right? You look at the NFL, all these point spreads, are going to be minus 110 for the over and the under. It's not fair. You have to bet $11 to win back 10 in profit. So think about it. You and your friend, you bet the over for $11. He bets the under for $11. FanDuel collects $22. One of you will win. They'll pay you out your 11 plus your $10 of profit, $21. Sportsbook makes a risk-free profit of $1, right? So books have the inherent advantage of having the vig. The only way you're going to beat them, which is why people are always like, the only way you're going to beat them is when you find them screwing up a line. But anyways, let's go back to Underdog. We'll see if there's anything. We're already on some of these plays, so... Jonquel Jones rebounds. Where does PrizePicks have this line? We can take a look. We can take a look at PrizePicks. We can sit here all night if we wanted to. So we got Jones. They only got a points lineup. So we can go here. We can go back to PrizePicks. Taylor Townsend. That is a sexy name. So we can go down. I mean, it's a lot of the same plays. Don't want to dwell on the same crap over and over. We got some good correlation. Yada, yada, yada. On esports and Dota. In CSGO, though, you should be a little more careful of the correlation. It's mainly true for PrizePicks and Dota. CSGO is a little more complicated. Valorant, I think, is very similar. I'll have to go through the data again, but I don't bet a lot of Valorant. Valorant, there's nowhere near as many games as League of Legends. Fuck it. Maybe we place one more play on Underdog Fantasy. Why not? We're up. Man, a lot of close calls, but let's go here. So the first play we can go with here is Danko, over 37. Let's get rid of all of this crap. And again, like, pretty simple. I follow a very data-driven approach. Every other sportsbook, we have 3 other data points, all telling us, yo, this line should be at 39-ish. Parlay play a little higher at 39.5. PrizePicks at 39. But I mean, still, pretty clear, right? You can see some tennis plays are popping up. Tennis, aces, discrepancies. Ooh, you could middle bet those. But anyways, let's keep going. This play on Bow we already have. Suplex, we're already on, right? Aren't we already on Suplex? So let's take a look here. No, we're not on Suplex under 41. So that's kind of nice. We can get him under 43 kills. Are we on Suplex? Nope, I guess not. I don't know why that name rung a bell. But if we look here, you can see every other book has his line lower, right? Pretty simple. You're following the data, right? All these books, and a lot of people would be like, oh, but I'm smarter than engineers, right, at these sports books. You're not realizing these books move around lines, right, due to where action's coming into the market. If all the smart people, PrizePicks knows who their smart customers are. If all the action starts coming in on the under, they will move lines lower. They're not stupid. I don't know why everyone thinks these, like, that is how they work. You know, that is how a sportsbook works, is they react to where bets are coming in the market. So this play is interesting too. Does PrizePicks already have MLB lines out for tomorrow? Nope, they only have hitter fantasy score. I've noticed Underdog Fantasy, they're getting pretty quick with how quickly they're releasing lines. So let's go back here. And what we can do is we can go here. So what do we want to take? So we have Ricola under 35. I mean, we could middle bet it, take the over 32.5 on Underdog, but that's a little lame. So what we could do is we already have Suplex, is Minozo over 36. Under 36, I apologize. Let's go back here. Is we could add this in as our final pick. So none of these plays, well, these plays are from the same game. And again, in esports, correlation is a little confusing, so only take one of them. Or for CSGO. Sorry, for CSGO specifically. So we can refresh this. And a bases line of 2 is high. I'm pretty sure that's going to come down tomorrow. So we'll take a look. A lot of these plays I've already bet. A lot of people ask me, oh, why don't you bet Bow again? Again, it's great. You can make money sports betting. The reason the books don't really care about people making money off them is, again, Underdog just limits you to $100 bet sizes, right? You can still make money off them, but if anything, Underdog is using, you know, the bets I'm placing to inform future line movements. Again, sportsbooks move around lines due to supply and demand. They know which customers are up. DraftKings knows which of its customers are up a lot of money. So let's go here, and we have Matt Olson under 2 bases, and this will be the final pick we go with. So there we go. $100, 3-pick entry. Another 3-pick entry on Underdog Fantasy. What is going on there? So there we go. And we can lock that in. And again, I like to show just like, oh, FanDuel, Fliff, you know, all these sports books. I'll be betting a lot more on sports books when I get back to the East Coast here shortly. I mean, there's some good bets on, you know, a bunch of different sports books. So that's pretty cool. You go to ParlayPlay. Anything new on ParlayPlay? Let's take a look at ParlayPlay. We'll call it a day for now. Pretty tired. Not actually that tired, but ready to end this live stream. Well, actually, maybe there's some plays we could go with. Sabrina over 16.5. Yeah, I mean, there's some decent... fuck it. we'll hit some plays. So here we have time over 8. And again, it's so Well, this is actually interesting. So let's go here. So this play seems great, right? We look at this player time. Where do all the other sportsbooks have his line? At 8, right? Underdog has his line at 8. Let's go to, PrizePicks. Again, OddsJam just reading in the data, pointing out discrepancies to value in the market. Nothing super complicated. Then you can see it's the same thing with CPM. All the other sportsbooks have his line at 5.5. So the only thing you want to be careful of when you're playing esports is, the correlation aspect. So these players are on the same team, so I'm not going to be able to include them both in the same slip on Underdog Fantasy. You could include them in 2 different slips. So we can take Sabrina over 16.5. She's a beast. I will say she is very good at her job of scoring points. So I actually prefer this other play because it's a bigger discrepancy. Like these half-point discrepancies, 6 versus 5.5 is bigger than like 16 versus 15.5. It's kind of like in MLB. 1 RBI is a bigger deal than 1 receiving yard in terms of the odd shift. So we want to take him under 6.5. We have Sabrina's over. And then what do we want to do? So again, I try to look for these spots where all the books are aligned in the same direction. So we'll skip over that play on time. Jonquel Jones we'll skip over. We have Danoco under 39.5. I'm not sure if I already hit that, but if so, it's clearly a good middle bet to go with. Still not really that many plays. There's not enough plays to go with. Let's check out PrizePicks maybe one more time. Now I'm getting a little bit of a second wind. Anything out there? So a lot of these plays we went with. So if you're just tuning in, we hit this on PrizePicks. 6-pick entry. After a pretty disappointing day with Mr. Crumb. He fucking sucks, by the way. If you watched any of that game, he's horrible. He deserves to be in the CFL. But here you can see a 6-pick entry. Again, really good correlation on these plays, right? Like players on the same team, positively correlated, go same direction. And then on Underdog Fantasy, if we take a look, we locked in a few plays like these, right? Just following the value. Again, most bets suck, right? And one question I get asked a lot is, oh, you only placed this many bets today. How many bets you place a day? It kind of depends, like, how much value's out there, right? Some days there's tons of good bets, right? Other days, if there's not a lot of sports going on, there may not be a ton of value out there in the market. But anyways, anything I didn't get to, if anyone had questions or whatever, feel free to reach out to me. Yo, really interesting on the FIBA. I'll look to get it added to OddsJam. So FIBA, let me remember to get that added to OddsJam so we can hit some FIBA. Arizona, best state for sports betting out there, for sure. CSGO is great because there's a lot of games. Again, more games means more opportunity, right? Like the NFL, everyone loves the NFL. It's like, okay, first of all, it's not that long of a season. Second of all, games are basically 1 day a week. Third of all, out of all the lines sportsbooks are watching, what do you think they keep the closest eye on? NFL, right? Like their esports lines compared to, so esports, a lot more games, it's year round. And sportsbooks don't really like watch their lines. I mean, they do. Again, they have algorithms that will move around lines due to, where action's coming into the market. There's a lot of good discrepancies. So what is this? I have no idea what this is. But anyways, we'll be back tomorrow. I mean, I'll probably have some plays on Twitter.